Coming up on CPTV. The Crown Point community took to the polls Tuesday night to vote on the educational referendum renewal. The passing of Indiana Senate Bill 1 will detract millions of dollars from Indiana schools, and the CP baseball team celebrates their seniors. CPTV is up next. Hi, I'm Ryan Welsh.
And I'm Raina Stevens.
Welcome to CPTV. Later on in the show, Ari Pantoja will have your 5-day weather forecast, and Miri Fernandez will bring us all the highlights in CP sports.
Here's what's happening in and around Crown Point High School.
On Tuesday, CP voters overwhelmingly backed the extension of operating referendums, which generate millions in additional revenue for their public schools for another 8 years. Unofficial results on Tuesday night showed 2,687, nearly 83% of voters, in favor of the ballot question, while 555 voted against it. According to school officials, Crown Point schools generate around $8 million annually from the additional property tax levy, and revenue from the operating referendum goes towards paying approximately 70 teaching positions, nurses, and school resource officers, as well as non-athletic extracurricular programs. The referendum was first approved by voters in 2011 and renewed in 2018.
It's an important referendum for the education to continue in Crown Point. We're a stellar school corporation. We have been. I was on the board for over 14 years. I was on the board when this was originally voted on, and we felt it was important then, and I personally feel it's important now to maintain and continue to work hard so Crown Point schools excel. Our kids deserve it.
The passing of the referendum couldn't come at a more opportune time, as the Indiana Senate signed Senate Bill 1 into law last month. The bill, while being touted as a property tax decrease for Hoosiers, will significantly cut funding to Indiana schools by $750 million over the next 3 years. Here's CPTV's Jordan Manojlovic with how it will affect the CPCSC in the coming years.
Senate Bill 1, a sweeping piece of legislation, brings major changes to both school funding and property taxes across the state. One of the most significant changes is that starting in 2028, school corporations will be required to share revenue from new operating levies with certain charter schools. This provision has raised concerns among some districts who fear it may limit their ability to fully fund essential programs and services. In addition to this, local income tax rates will also be adjusted under the bill, allowing schools to potentially access more funding. However, local government bodies will need to adopt new ordinances by 2027 to secure that funding. This could add an additional layer of complexity for districts trying to ensure consistent and reliable funding. Perhaps one of the most notable changes for schools will be in how they can access funds through referendums.
A Munster, Indiana widow is suing 2 cremation providers claiming her husband's body was mistreated and left unrefrigerated for weeks. The lawsuit is a part of a growing investigation into how dozens of bodies were handled across the state lines. CPTV's Trent Jocelyn has more.
What should have been a dignified farewell for a grieving family has turned into legal action and emotional trauma. A new lawsuit alleges that longtime Munster resident Daryl Smith's remains were neglected for nearly 3 weeks, and that his widow Darla Smith may now never know if she received the correct ashes. Daryl and Darla Smith shared 23 years of marriage. They met working side by side at the post office and raised 2 sons. When Daryl died last August, Darla turned to Crown Cremation for help with his final arrangements.
He typically didn't meet a stranger, if you know what I mean by that. He would talk to anybody and everybody. He was willing to help out a lot and put in extra work for somebody that might need some help.
According to the lawsuit, Crown Cremation sent Daryl's body to Heights Crematory in Illinois, where it was then stored in a non-refrigerated trailer, exposed to heat, time, and decay for 19 days before cremation.
I don't know why anyone would why would it cross anybody's mind to intentionally store or knowingly store a dead person in an unrefrigerated trailer at all, and let alone in August when it's unbearable even standing outside, imagine in a trailer where there's no circulation.
At Heights Crematory, which is now shut down, investigators found bodies stacked in trailers, some wrapped loosely in plastic and others with limbs exposed.
She was angry and hurt that her husband died. Then she was healing. And now she took one step forward. She's going 2 steps back in the emotional roller coaster.
Filed on April 29th, 2025, the lawsuit accuses the crematories of negligence, breach of contract, and emotional distress. The Smith family is also calling for both facilities to be permanently shut down and barred from ever operating again. CPTV reached out to both Crown Cremation and Heights Crematory for comment, and both declined. The investigation remains ongoing in both Indiana and Illinois as more families come forward with more allegations. For CPTV, I'm Trent Jocelyn.
Chicago City Council is considering changes to the city's teen curfew law to minimize what many are calling a city teen takeover. Originally, an ordinance set a 10 p.m. curfew for unaccompanied minors in the downtown area, aiming to address large, unsupervised gatherings. The revised plan, however, would grant police broader authority to enforce curfews citywide, particularly in response to the perceived takeovers. Supporters argue this could improve safety, while critics, including the American Civil Liberties Union, express concerns that it could disproportionately target young people, especially youth of color. The final vote will determine the future of the proposed law changes.
You're out there having fun, you know what I'm saying? I don't think there should be a curfew for kids when, they're out there having fun, because usually kids don't really get to have fun as much as they used to. So with all this stuff going on in the world now, so I just think that kids don't need a curfew because it really just ruins fun for them. And they're out having fun, unless they're like, going out doing bad stuff. Other than that, if they're just having fun, I don't think they need a curfew.
Stating the need to improve health outcomes for Hoosiers, Governor Mike Braun signed a series of executive orders on Tuesday aimed at, in his words, making Indiana healthy again. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, is a government program that aims to help Hoosiers with their grocery budget. Of the 9 orders signed by Braun, one order is designed to tighten eligibility criteria, and another significant proposal would remove the option to purchase certain unhealthy foods. Raina looked into the changes in detail.
This waiver proposes a significant change. It seeks permission to limit SNAP recipients from using their benefits to purchase candy and soft drinks. As outlined by the USDA, SNAP recipients can currently use their benefits to buy an array of items like fresh fruits and vegetables, meat, dairy products, bread, cereals, and much more, including non-alcoholic beverages. These governors in particular have joined forces with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s bold Make America Healthy Again campaign.
And they were like, no, of course not. But food stamps is not a nutrition program. And he said it's called SNAP, Supplementary Nutrition Assistance Program. It's supposed to be nutrition. It's not supposed to be food-like substances that are actually poisoning us. And so, but it takes a lot of courage to stand up to these companies the same way that it did to stand up to big tobacco.
The overarching takeaway? By restricting access to less nutritious options, it could boost spending on healthier foods with those benefits. RFK Jr. believes this initiative shines a spotlight on tackling the root causes of health issues, pushing for transparent information and driving real, impactful results. However, this proposal prompts an important conversation. Do individuals receiving SNAP really have the same shopping choices as those who don't rely on assistance?
I don't think that I would be getting the same shopping experience because I would be worried about, just looking at the food and seeing if this is something that would be in the parameter of being approved or not, instead of just shopping for my enjoyment or just wanting to cook specific type of meals.
Some experts suggest that moving soda and candy to the prohibited list could be a game changer, encouraging SNAP recipients to shift away from unhealthy junk food. While other SNAP recipients believe they should get the same shopping experience as the average person does. With CPTV News, I'm Raina Stevens. Warm temperatures and lots of sunshine this week. Will it last? Here with our 5-day weather forecast is Ari Pantoja.
In short, yes. Lots to look forward to weather-wise, but let's start with today. We're headed for a high of 62 degrees with partly cloudy skies, winds coming out of the north and northeast at about 10 miles per hour, and no real threat of rain in today's forecast. As we take a look at the 5-day forecast, it's more of the same, but with even higher temps. Sunny on Saturday with a high of 77, more sun and highs in the low 80s for Sunday. And we'll continue to hover right around there on Monday and Tuesday with varying degrees of sun and partly to mostly cloudy skies. This trend looks to continue for another 10 days with continued dry conditions, sunny skies, and more 80-degree temps next Wednesday and Thursday. We're starting to forget how cold and rainy it was last weekend. Enjoy it while it's here. That's your 5-day weather forecast. Brian, Raina?
Thanks, Ari. As we get toward the end of the school year, lots of teams are celebrating their seniors, and student athletes are considering life after high school sports. Here with sports is Mireille Fernandez.
Friday night, the Crown Point Bulldogs baseball team hosted the Lowell Red Devils on senior night. The night began with an introduction of the Bulldogs' 2025 graduating class. Lefty senior Jackson Alexander got the start for the Dogs, but struggled to find the zone early before junior Logan Johnston took the mound in the bottom of the second. The Red Devils got on the board early with a 1-zip lead in the second. The Dogs took a while to get their offense going, but as we've come to expect most of the season, they went on a tear, scoring 6 runs in the 4th inning and 2 in the 5th, winning the game with a final score of 8-1.
We knew they were going to be a special group. We're just looking to probably make a big run this year with them, and but they've been really good. You know, they have faults. Okay, they all have issues, but they work on those things that they're on their weaknesses, and that's what impresses me most.
On Wednesday, CP Junior football standout Trevor Gibbs announced the school he is committed to play football at during college. Gibbs received offers from Boston College, Cincinnati, Indiana University, Purdue University, and the University of Iowa. After setting the stage on the CPHS indoor turf, flanked by friends, family, the media, and CP coaches and players, Gibbs ultimately selected,
I'll be staying in state to go to IU. Yeah!
That's right, after weighing all offers, Gibbs has decided to stay in state and looks forward to playing for Coach Kurt Signetti and the Hoosiers.
I chose IU. I'd say the plan they got from me as a player and then the relationships I built with the coaches. You know, it's not so much about football, it's about who's in the building.
I could have lived with any decision that he made, but certainly it doesn't hurt when it's a home state school, and I think he'll be a great fit for the Hoosiers.
Kenneth Grant is living the dream of many NWI high school football players. From Maryville High School standout to the University of Michigan and now to the NFL, Grant's journey has been nothing short of remarkable. We recently spoke with Grant's Maryville High School football coach, Brad Seiss, about Grant's journey.
But Kenneth came in right away and started as a freshman. We actually had a nose that was committed to Ball State that we moved over to 3 technique just because we knew Kenneth was a guy that needed to play right away.
And that's it for sports.
Many people know Darden Shirk as English teacher, wrestling coach, and national champion. However, few know him as a hero. Here's CPTV's Owen Evener.
Darden Shirk is never afraid to jump in and help others. 6 years ago, as seen in this video, which aired on NBC Chicago, he jumped into a completely frozen lake in Hobart and saved a cat.
Oh my gosh! Keep going, Dari! Oh my gosh! Dari, you got this!
Shirk took off his shoes and his shirt and jumped into the completely frozen lake, cracking up the ice below him as he swam across the lake through ice chunks and freezing cold water. He scooped up the cat and got himself and the cat to safety.
Hey, break the other shore! Oh my gosh, Dari! Oh, poor thing!
Saving the cat, it really comes from my love for animals. I grew up watching Steve Irwin a lot when I was a kid, and I really loved just his passion. And so I shared that passion, I feel like. And as I got older, I just was like, anytime I found the opportunity where I could step in and do something, even if it's a small bug or whatever, it didn't matter what animal it was, I felt like if it needed help, I'd be willing to do what it would take.
On top of saving animal lives, he's also saved 2 men's life while he was out fishing on a lake at age 10 with his father. And just 1 month ago, he donated one of his kidneys to his second cousin-in-law, Alan Johnson. Johnson, age 63, needed a kidney transplant due to kidney failure. Shurg says his message to the world is,
when I do something, I would just hope or expect that somebody would do that for me. And so whether it's saving a cat or whether it's saving somebody out on the lake, whether it's donating a kidney, I think these are all things that anybody is capable of. I think it's just when the opportunity is presented, are you willing to take that jump and make that step?
From CPTV News, I'm Owen Evener.
On Wednesday, CPHS bestowed special stows on 15 senior students, commemorating their individual commitments to different branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. Students were escorted by their relatives and joined with their recruiters and other active military members at the event, while CPHS Principal Russ Marcinek spoke of the students making a great sacrifice for their country.
Crown Point High School can think of no greater display of honor, of sacrifice, or commitment than serving in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, or National Guard. Crown Point High School is proud of all of our students and the decision that you have made to serve our great nation.
The students will wear their stoles during the graduation ceremony on June 4th. CPHS is hosting an art fair tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the CP Public Library. The fair will include activities such as face painting and coloring for those in attendance, and will feature sculptures, drawings, paintings, and various works by CPHS art students. Prints drawn by CPHS students will be on sale for $10 each. That's it for today's show. Thanks for taking the time to tune in and for being with us.
Remember, you can view all of our past episodes on crowntownmedia.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter at Crown T Media.
For Ari, Mireille, and Raina, and all of us here at CPTV, I'm Ryan Welsh.
And I'm Raina Stevens.
Take care.